coronavirus, COVID-19. We are in the grips of it now. I'm recording this on Friday, March the 20th, and the pandemic has taken over the whole world and everybody is now self-isolating as much as possible. For the last week we've had Lily home from school. Schools aren't closed. This isn't a compulsory thing, it's just a choice we've made. She might go back to school next week, we're not sure. But we're very conscious of cocooning now and just not getting out in the world and mixing with other people unless it's absolutely necessary. Mad as Hell continues. We did our first show this week, just gone, with no studio audience. So that was a real change of pace for the show. It's been over 120 episodes now, and this is the first time it's ever been done without a studio audience. So that added a little frisson to it. I think the show went fine. The material was just as good and the performances were just as good as ever. So I think for the next little while this will certainly be the new normal for Mad as Hell, no audience. But I digress. It's very easy to digress because all that everyone and anyone is talking about is COVID-19 and the ramifications of it and all the flow-on effects. But back to the subject at hand, this particular show must go on. And you will have seen that last week's chapter 47, where we say goodbye to Dr. Zivai once and for all. Yes, I wrote that last year. I wrote all of those Dr. Zivai ones when she's out in space at the same time, passing through those stages of grief, and of course here at the end there's acceptance. And if I have my time over, which I do, which I will in the great big edit, you'll notice the time at the top of that chapter is sometime in the afternoon, which when I go back to edit this, I'll make that concurrent with what's happening in chapters 47 and 40, the chapters either side of it. Yeah, when I wrote that, that was a bit of a leap of faith. I sort of assumed that by this stage of the story in the novel we would have advanced to the afternoon, but it hasn't panned out that way. So this is one of the many things to address in the great big edit when I finally finish this and go through it with my trusty red pen. On to this week's chapter. This week's chapter I wanted to have those little character vignettes if I could. I don't know, this is probably far too late to be introducing character traits and character talismans and objects that reveal things about the characters of these pirates, of Zhang and Devereaux and AJ and Lightfoot. But I just kind of like the idea, and so they all rush on, grab their stuff, head out. It is a bit of a long goodbye chapter. Everybody gets a bit choked up in saying goodbye to Salazar. Salazar says his goodbye to Diana, and in the understanding that he most likely won't be coming back from this. So gearing up for the big sacrifice that Salazar is about to make. And the end is in sight. The events are sort of playing out the way that I've planned them in this final quarter of the novel. And the writing of this week's one was a bit piecemeal. An hour here, an hour there, what with our quarantining and the disruptions that are happening. I'm now only 3 weeks ahead. But if I can keep up this pace, there's just 4 more chapters to write. There will probably at this stage also be an epilogue after that. So yeah, we're very much 90% done, and moving into these very, very uncertain times where I think the whole world will change. We won't recognise the world a year from now, and yeah, when I started this, the world was a different place, so it's quite a tumultuous historical time. May you live in interesting times, say the Chinese, and we are indeed. Alright, see you next week. Stay safe. Flatten the curve.